Welcome to the 2021 Ways and Means budget hearings for fiscal year 2022. Today is Tuesday, June 22nd. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay.
Roll call of the members of the Ways and Means Subcommittee. Councilor Janino, absent. Councilor McKenna.
Here.
Here. Councilor Powers, absent. Councilor Sereno.
Here.
Here. Council President Zambudo is absent, and Chairman Visconti.
Here.
Here. A quorum is present.
Thank you, everybody, for coming this evening. We have 2 hours designated. Hopefully, we can get through this pretty quickly. And I'd like to keep within that time frame if at all possible. Why don't we get right to it and start off with municipal inspections. Michael, if you don't mind, the floor is yours.
Good evening, councilors. Thank you.
That's pages 44 and 45 for edification.
Municipal inspections includes health inspections, which is interior and exterior code enforcement and food inspector, building, electrical, plumbing, and weights and measures. Some accomplishments for fiscal year 21 as we worked through a pandemic. All staff worked through COVID. Municipal inspections was instrumental in communicating all COVID regulations and ensured compliance of all COVID-19 regulations in all businesses. We hired 2 COVID inspectors who performed inspections 7 days a week, day and night. The building department routinely enforced compliance of all COVID regulations on all large-scale construction projects. The city was mindful of the challenges the property owners faced during COVID and therefore were considerate in issuing more warnings than violations. Given the challenges, inspectors were able to conduct inspections virtually through some pictures to accommodate contractors. We're starting to see an influx of unpermitted work that took place over COVID in our department and currently while being in an economic boom. We have many ongoing large-scale projects, and as we now prepare for groundbreaking at Suffolk Downs. Many owners, property owners are also making renovations to their properties. In fiscal year 21, we issued 1,548 building permits. Electrical permits, we issued 1,160, and just 1,000 plumbing and gas permits. Keep in mind, anytime we issue a permit, a minimum of 2 inspections is required on each permit. So a rough inspection and a final inspection. Providing those inspections pass, there may be additional inspections needed as well to follow up if anything had failed. Also, we have Safe Housing Task Force, which is enforcing code compliance under the State Sanitary Code of Chapter 40U, including blighted properties, unpermitted work, and protecting the health, safety, and well-being of occupants of housing and the general public. Currently, at this time, we have 220 properties in the Safe Housing Task Force. We have some success stories. I know that I speak with counselors on a daily basis, weekly basis, and they're representing their wards, and I know we all wish we could get instant results. So do we, It's important to realize that safe housing is a process that we have to go through to get the owners' attentions and to get the team out there to see what's going on to get these properties back up in good standing. An example of Safe Housing Task Force, we had a property on Mountain Ave, the team being proactive in addition to reactive. We had an out-of-state owner who tried to pull a fast one, having a bunch of unpermitted work, property that they were flipping. In fact, almost a near-gut renovation, and sought a smoke certificate. In between inspections, internal property review and communication between Revere Fire, housing inspector, and plumbing inspector, and then to the broader team as a whole, we were able to evidence the major changes in the house, identify a nearly completed effort to create an illegal rooming house, and a sale that would have guaranteed such a result. Instead, a comprehensive order was issued. They were required to open up the walls, of a renovated kitchen, bathroom, and other areas, submit proper detailed plans to redo all of the work in a code-compliant manner. They paid approximately $16,000 in code violation tickets and likely gave away all the profits of the project. So the property shows the strengths of the team and how the process works. We have one other one that I'd like to talk about, 50 Clark. Now, this is one that it was a 10-year in the making. Property vacant and blighted for 10 years, worked with Councilor Novoselsky, and had great success having the property fixed inside, a new roof put on, code tickets paid, but then the property would just sit again. So they started and stopping, starting and stopping. They communicated with the ward councilor, kept the pressure on the bank, and got to the bank and agreed to a receivership case, and the property was recently just sold. So over the years, the bank paid over $100,000 in code tickets and made some substantial renovations. So that's just an example of how the Safe Housing Task Force works. Some other accomplishments for 2021. In our office, Laserfiche was contracted to begin the scanning and creating new electronic files of all of our building jackets. So every street in the city, A through Z, has been sent out to be scanned. So all of our files will now be electronic moving forward. Project still is ongoing. We continue to improve upon the cleanliness of the city and decreasing rodent population through diligent enforcement of the existing trash ordinance by the exterior sanitary inspectors. We provided additional code enforcement to dumpsters. We provided efficient intake process and effective investigation of all code enforcement concerns with appropriate follow-up, prompt resolutions of all service requests, enhancing customer service with public by utilizing the translation skills of newly hired multilingual support staff in our office and inspection team. We continue to work in conjunction with Northeast Mosquito Control to reduce the mosquito population, enforced accuracy of the weights and measures devices. We created Safe Housing Blue Team and Red Team. So we have an inside counsel and outside counsel dealing with more egregious properties. Certificate of fitnesses for rentals have now become electronic through CitizenServe. Increased turnaround time on e-permitting, building application intake process. We hired the COVID inspectors that I spoke about previously. And we've also generated revenue through general counsel, sending out overdue letters of all applicants of unpaid building permits. Some of the goals for fiscal year '22, continue to work in conjunction with Revere Fire Department, fire prevention to identify and address non-compliant properties. Maintain inspection results of retail store scanners, electronic scales, and taximeters through weights and measures. Provide public access to food establishment inspection reports via the city website. Begin implementation of a tracking system for issues involving interior housing code enforcement complaints and violations. General counsel to address pre-Safe Housing Task Force, so try to get the problem solved before they reach the Safe Housing Task Force. To automate internal communication between Q-Alert and CitizenServe, and finally to provide efficient service to all contractors and residents through some customer service trainings for our team. That's what I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. First, I'd like to mention that Councilor Powers and Council President Zambudo are present. Okay. If we can address, look at page 44 and look at the municipal inspection salary section. We can start off with that. We can, do you want to discuss that, or?
Sure.
Sure, go right ahead.
So going into fiscal year '22, we have budgeted with 19 full-time employees. That is level with fiscal year '21, although it doesn't appear to be on paper. Fiscal year '21, it said we had 15 and a half.
Yeah.
We did have, going into COVID, we had some part-time employees retire.
Okay.
We had some employees retire. Those positions were still active, but they weren't showing an employee at the time. So,
Okay. Okay. Great. Let me first.
So Counselor, we did replace those people throughout fiscal year '21,
Okay.
people that
I
did
guess-
retire.
Help me understand that. We started off in fiscal year '20, we budgeted 15 people, 50 full-time employees in 2021, and we have an increase of, what, 3.5 FTEs for fiscal year 2022. Is that correct?
That's correct. There was a lot of, oh, that, shut that off, my apologies. Yeah, so during fiscal year 2021, as you know, we eliminated a lot of our 960 employees, our retirees that were working part-time. Those positions were eliminated. Through attrition, we lost some positions that we didn't backfill during the pandemic. That left us with that 15 and a half FTE equivalents. We did have one employee that was paid through our 40U program that was not listed as an FTE on this particular budget, in error. So we actually did have 16 and a half. One of those clerks, Noreen, that retired.
Okay.
We left that position vacant, and we did fund one of the other clerks as part of the 40U. During the pandemic, we were able to bring back at least one municipal inspector to help with those COVID-related expenses. And now, as part of fiscal year '22, we intend to bring that staff up to 19 FTEs by virtually, I guess you would say, adding 2 positions that were eliminated back in fiscal year '21, as well as the conversion of a part-time employee of 20 hours, bringing that position up to 39 hours for full-time equivalent to help with the inspections. It's also worth noting that as part of the fiscal year '22 budget, working with Cheryl and Michael and Louis, as part of the revolving fund, our 40U revolving fund, we're able to fund 4 full-time equivalents within that revolving fund. And as you know, that's part of that Safe Housing Task Force and those fines that otherwise are paid into that fund to support those causes for any Safe Housing Task Force issues, et cetera. So 19 full-time equivalents, net 15 full-time equivalents paid through the general fund appropriation, 4 full-time equivalents that would be paid through the 40U program in fiscal year '22.
All right. And that's the other sources that we're talking about that are on that.
Yeah,
that's on
part of last night's ordinance that was set for the revolving funds, the 40U program.
Yes.
Is part of that revolving fund. And just for the benefit of everybody, the reason why we do the 40U program as a revolving fund is because it's hard to know the cyclical nature of those buildings when they become in disrepair and how much money we need from one year to the next. Now, our staffing is stable, and that's to do the administrative portion, but primarily what drives the cost there, that's tricky to budget, are the legal fees associated with our attorneys that come into play through D'Ambrosio and Brown when they become more of a problem. And Michael can explain it better. It's that red team versus the blue team.
Sure.
And each one of those has, it's like DEFCON 1 to DEFCON 6, I suppose.
understand.
So that's the nature of the 40U program anyhow. So
Does, let me open it up to my subcommittee members. Does anybody have any questions? Council McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Michael, about 3 or 4 months ago, I put in for a part-time building inspector. Was that approved? I don't know if Rich said it, yes. Did you hire anybody yet?
As of July 1st, in our budget, we have $20,000 overtime budget. So we'll be using our current code enforcement inspectors on the weekends to have them out there 4 hours each day on Saturday and 4 hours on Sunday.
Great. And I just want to say thank you for always answering your phone and being patient, showing patience to me. I know sometimes I can be like, but, and I got so much going on in Ward 1, but, thank you so much. And you're doing a great job. You're doing a wonderful job
Thank you.
in your new position, so thank you, Michael.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And I just want you to know that he was my former student, too. So we're going to keep this on a roll.
I'm uncertain who has more former students, you or Ms. Ty. Council Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Michael, while you're here, I might as well get a couple of answers. 21 Loring Road. There was a fire down there about a year ago. What is the condition of that building right now? With regard to, having them tear it down or repair, what do they have to do?
We currently have an order to correct out there, and we're currently finding them.
Yep.
And hoping to get some answers from the property owner shortly.
And the other building is, I think it's 565, if the number's wrong, it's close to 565 North Shore Road. It's right after the Tuna Club. I know, my understanding was that the city of Revere owned that building now, but because...
Yep, we, 585 North Shore Road, we foreclosed on the property for unpaid taxes.
Yep.
Following 2 years of extensive code enforcement and over $200,000 in ticketing being added to the property taxes on that property as well.
When do we gain control of it? Because I've seen them doing business down there, bringing truckloads of
The
stuff.
former owner is now in bankruptcy. There is litigation whether he's entitled to get the property back and bring it up to code in an approved bankruptcy plan. The city became the owner in the fall of 2019.
Yeah.
The bankruptcy litigation is still pending and is expected to be resolved in the next 6 to 12 months.
He's been bringing that property up to code for about 5 years now.
I know.
So whatever you can do on that, I'd certainly appreciate it. And I know the
Right,
people
so
down
hopefully
there-
within the next next few months, we'll have some answers from the court on that.
Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Council. Council Sereno?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Michael, I just wanted to say thank you. I think you guys are doing a tremendous job in ISD. You and Louis and Cheryl, you always answer my emails, my texts. No matter if it's a Friday night, a Saturday night, you're always on the game. And so I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
You're doing a tremendous job, so keep up the good work.
Council President Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Michael, I don't know if I publicly congratulated you on your new position.
Thank you.
I'm not sure it should be congratulations or condolences, but nevertheless, you certainly stepped up and jumped into the frying pan.
Thank you.
And you're very responsive, as the whole department, as the building inspector is always right there when I call him, and everybody knows how I feel about Cheryl, so we won't even get into that stuff. Let me state publicly, you we're not a student of mine. And you're young enough to be my grandson. I can say that. But no, you've always been very responsive,
Thank
if
you.
not to me, to the people that I've reached out for. And I was thrilled when the mayor selected you for this position. I know you'll do a great job for many years to come. And just keep up the good work.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Council.
Thank you. Okay, I just have a couple of questions, if I may. It looks like you've hired some health and code violation employees. With all the construction going on, is there any plans on hiring another electrical inspector as well as maybe a plumbing inspector? I'm sure their workload has increased quite a bit overall as well, or is planning on increasing. So is there any plans on hiring those two inspectors?
Right now, as part of the 22 budget, we do have a part-time salary line in there for a part-time electrical inspector of $28,900. 918. That also supplements the $20,000 of overtime that Michael referred to with regard to night to weekend inspections. Right now, as you know, we're proposing 19 FTEs. We are in talks with the inspection department on trying to address the needs of it, whether it's a building inspector or a sanitary inspector. We do have some flexibility with our ARPA money to backfill some of the health and code violation inspections, so we're navigating through that. Gonna wait until see what the final budget is appropriated, and then try to build upon that. But I agree, there's a lot of construction going on, and we can certainly use the help there, but we're also trying to be mindful of our total appropriations.
Absolutely. And just talking about the 40U money, right? That is generating, how much is that generated over the year? I don't have a number on that.
We're ticketing roughly about 100,000 a month.
100,000 a month.
So for fiscal year '22, we're estimating that we should bring in $1 million a year, and that'll be part of the budget. Since you ordained the actual revolving funds, the next step after they're ordained is to bring forward the not to exceed amount in expenditures. So we're going to base that upon $1 million estimated receipts. So even if we collected more than $1 million, we can only spend up to $1 million for our personnel and our legal services and our expense budget. So yeah, it's and that's a number that I won't say it's aggressive. I think back up to full staff, it'll probably be on the higher end of what we've historically collected. I do have some numbers here on that. Give me a second, I can probably dig out what we collected in the past.
Take your time.
Okay.
Any other further questions from the subcommittee members or councilors? Okay. Well, Michael, I just want to extend, number one, congratulations on the new position. I know you've had a difficult time through COVID, trying to comply with all the rules and all the laws, and communicating that with all the restaurants and food services out there. So I want to commend your department for doing a great job in getting that word out. So it's very important, and you did a great job. So hopefully we get back to normal, some kind of normalcy, and it eases up in that department a little bit. So,
Council, it's important to mention too that our businesses were very compliant throughout the entire COVID process. So it wasn't easy on anybody. It was very difficult to enforce those rules, but the majority, 99.9% of our businesses were extremely compliant during COVID, and kudos to them. So they made it a lot easier than what it could have been.
well, I think it's all in the approach, right?
I agree.
It's, the biggest thing, they're struggling, and the last thing they want to do is come, have an inspector in there demanding things. So it's all about the approach and how it gets done. So that's all because of yourself and your department. So congratulations.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
And we neglected to mention the pain in the neck city councilors that he had to put up with during COVID.
Well, that goes without saying, right?
That's part of the game.
I think I was the lead guy, so.
Thank you, Michael.
again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just quickly back to your question. I don't have 2021 yet a date with me, but in fiscal year 19, the 40U program was $527,191. Fiscal year 2020, I'm sorry, these are calendar year. Calendar year 19, $527,190. Calendar year 2020, $654,507. And we report them as calendar year because the lien process takes effect in December for the January tax bill.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm all set with that. Thank you, I appreciate that, Michael, once again. Thank you. Now, if I may, we're gonna hear from parking, and then you. Parking department?
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
I'd like to start by saying basically how we strategized when the pandemic hit. It was an all-hands-on-deck approach. Everyone that is part of the parking department team was on board. We implemented several health and safety measures so that we could open for in-person assistance, and did open after just a few weeks into the pandemic. We redeployed staffing from enforcement to administrative to better serve our constituents. We are fortunate to have had employees that speak multi-languages, including Spanish, Serbian, Croatian, Bosnian, and Russian. We have them all pretty much covered. We also created an appointment system for anyone who felt they needed in-person assistance. One of our biggest accomplishments were we answered over 10,000 phone calls from residents during the pandemic. We were able to accomplish this with 3 people doing it. One is my administrative assistant, Louis, here, and we're very proud to say that we answered over the 10,000 calls. We created also an email address dedicated to parking issues and responded to hundreds of emails. Investigated numerous 311 requests from constituent services and resolved the issues promptly. Excuse me 1 minute, I'm going to turn the page. We updated the parking department website to include more detailed and easier to follow directions for residents to do business with the parking department online, including pay a parking violation, apply for a residential, commercial, or visitor permit, appeal parking violations. We also created a virtual hearing system to replace in-person hearings and adjudicated over 1,000 appeals effectively during the pandemic. The accomplishments for 2021 were, again, during the pandemic, we were able to execute a citywide overnight parking program issuing over 27,000 permits. We worked with the DPW to install new signs across all city streets. Actually, we're still in the process, that's still ongoing with signage. Anytime an ordinance changes, we have to keep on updating the signs and putting up new signs. We also collaborated with the Traffic Commission and the Office of Strategic Planning and Developing to redesign the Central Ave Municipal parking lot to create a mixed-use lot for business owners, residents, and visitors. We expanded the parking department's workforce by adding 2 new enforcement officers to address the newly implemented citywide overnight parking program. We also added 1 new parking enforcement vehicle to the parking department fleet, reinforcing the pride and integrity of the departments. With that part said, I don't know if anybody may have any questions pertaining to that before I get to my budget.
Council Powers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jim, first of all, I know all about the great job you're doing down there. Every time I go in there, you're there behind the desk, interviewing people for different reasons, violations. But the questions I have, I know we completed the signage down on the Point of Pines, just about, with the exception of Riverside. The other 2 sections, actually, that are out there right now are Oak Island, Arcadia, Ellet, New York, Argyle, Dashwood, those streets there, and then down off of Bay Road, Clinton, Sears, those streets down there. Are those signs in yet, you know?
Actually, a lot of the signs down in your area, Council, they haven't been put in yet. We're still doing signs as we talk because of all the changes that have been made.
Yep.
We originally had in a lot of those areas overnight, and the overnight now has been changed to 24/7.
Yep.
So the signs had to be made. We had to make quite a few signs because there was a lot of streets that were changed.
Yep.
And also the permits. Hopefully, a lot of them are starting to come out down the Point of Pines. I think most of the residents are receiving them.
I've talked to people who have received them already down there.
Right, a lot of them are receiving them, and we hope to get the rest of them out within probably, I would say, the next week or 2.
Yep.
Lewis is also, he'll be working on that over the next couple of weeks, and hope to get the signage straightened away with the permits.
And then the DCR is going to be supplying the stickers for that certain area down on the boulevard from Sears Street to Cary Circle, correct?
Can you repeat that, John? I didn't hear that last part of it, I'm sorry.
From Sears Street, from Revere Street to Cary Circle.
Yes.
Where we reserve that space for residents only. and they're going to be getting that resident sticker in the mail very shortly?
Yes, the resident stickers, we've already ordered them. That process was set in place about 3 to 4 weeks ago, and the last time we had actually talked to the vendor, we're hoping to mail them out July 5th. He said that would be the latest date that we would be mailing them out. He said if it happened sooner, it would be a plus.
Well, first, I want to congratulate you on your retirement. You'll be leaving us shortly. You've certainly left a great plan in place for whoever follows you. And everything, all the I's have been dotted and the T's have been crossed, and it's a good plan. Thank you very much.
I appreciate that, Council Powers. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Council President Zambudo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jim, I think, I pretty much said what the story was the other night when we gave you the certificate, that you truly transformed the parking department. We'll be eternally grateful. I didn't expect you to be here because I was told you retired already. And so I'm thrilled that you're here tonight so that we can give you more accolades that you deserve. My fear is who comes next. And unless we can clone you, we're going to be in a little trouble. That's the way I see it. So I really don't have any questions to ask you, especially about the operations. We know it ran like a Swiss watch. And we are truly grateful, at least I'm truly grateful, that you were willing to serve for those years that you did. You come in and cleaned up this mess, and now you're walking off into the sunset. And I hope you enjoy yourself because you deserve it. Thank you.
I want to thank you again. Thank you, Councilor Zambudo.
If there are no other questions, I'll ask a few if you don't mind. If we can start off with the total salaries, the other sources, these sources, they're being funded by how again?
These 3 positions that I put in for parking control officers, they're coming out of the parking special revenue account. That's actually, Councilor, is a meter account.
Okay.
And those salaries actually are paid out of that.
Okay.
If you don't mind, just to supplement Jim's comments, that's right. One of the new positions that are being contemplated, we're able to fund through our parking meter receipts account. I know that, yesterday there was some conversation about trying to do some building repairs and maintenance with that account, but we are required by law to spend that on our parking operations. So not only will the parking meter receipts cover 3 full-time parking enforcement officers, but it will also be the source of revenue to pay for the beach sticker parking program that we're about to roll out, hopefully right after the first of the fiscal year. Those stickers have been ordered and ready to go, and I know that many people watching may be waiting anxiously for those, but they're in production, and we're at their mercy, so hold tight, and we promise to get those out soon.
Well, you answered the million-dollar question, as they say, because I know I've gotten quite a few phone calls about the beach permit, when are those being issued out, so I'm sure there's a lot of people that are looking for that. If I can have the courtesy of a quick minute, I know there's a lot of questions, but just to clarify, we rolled out a resident sticker parking program for overnight. Soon after that, we realized that the DCI was going to put parking meters up and down the beach, and after some long, hard debates, it was determined that the city residents would be able to park on Ocean Ave and other areas that would be exclusive to Revere residents. So it was determined that to try to make it as clear as possible, we produced another 40,000 some odd tickets that we will distribute for all residents of the city, including those who are otherwise not able to get a resident sticker parking for overnight. Those stickers will be distributed over the next couple of weeks as soon as they're ready. The resident sticker parking program, we're going to keep those stickers for this fiscal year and next fiscal year. So we're not going to have to produce a second set of stickers, but
going forward, we will have a yearly sticker for resident parking.
Okay, so just for clarification, and that was, you're probably answering one of the questions. I noticed that in the parking permit line item, there's an $80,000 appropriation for a permit for beach. And does that mean that the overnight permit parking is a 2-year sticker program, and we're not going to get new stickers?
We're not gonna need them for
2022?
this calendar year, but this $87,000 will be for the next batch of resident sticker parking. Again, I think, not to speak, not to forecast too much, but the 2-sticker program for both beach sticker and resident sticker, we're trying to work through that so that we don't necessarily have to have stickers all over our car, but it was important to have a dedicated beach sticker parking permit for the entire city, where the resident sticker parking didn't cover all of the buildings because there's some restrictions on overnight parking for those particular items. So the $87,000 that you see appropriated for office supplies, the majority of that is parking permits. That will cover our residential sticker program, which is about 32,000 stickers at it costs us $2.50 a sticker to produce those and mail them. So resident sticker parking will cover 32,000 resident sticker parking for fiscal year '22. However, the beach stickers will all be paid through the parking meter receipt reserve account.
All right, thank you. You clarified that. Great. Other than that, I don't seem to have any other questions. I just want to say, Jim, to my father-in-law, it's quite funny seeing you up here, you there and I'm here, but it's great. And I want to say you have, and not because I'm trying to butter up to you, because by any stretch of the imagination, I already know what list I'm on with you, but nonetheless, I want to say congratulations that you brought a department that was dormant for quite some time and brought it to be one of the most popular and demanding departments in the city, and that's all because of you and your team. So I commend you. Like Council President said, whoever fills those shoes have some big shoes to fill. And like I said to Michael Wells, what made you so successful was being approachable. Okay, you were very approachable, and you know when you walk into that department and you got people paying tickets and actually walking out not swearing and actually okay, it's a plus. So it's all because of how you handled the constituents. So thank you for that, and I appreciate it. You will be missed, and best of luck in your retirement.
I want to thank you, Jerry, Counselor. I'll call you Counselor.
That's okay.
And I just want to add one other thing, if there's no other questions. It's also been a pleasure working with this council and everybody up here. All the councilors were very helpful, and I can't thank you enough. It was a great ride for 3 years. I enjoyed it. So with that,
Enjoy.
That's it.
Enjoy. Thank you.
No other questions? All right, thank you. Have a nice night.
If both chiefs don't mind, if I can have go out of order and have Nick come up for short-term rentals, only because it's a very
Sure. And just before Nick starts, I want to apologize, but I don't have a handout cover sheet for him. It's a brand-new department. We still got to develop it, so, but I'll let Nick explain more about what he's tasked to do as part of this short-term rental program. Thank you.
It's going to be a short-term interview.
Hi, Nick Catanazzo, Director of Short-Term Rentals. I'm back.
Welcome back.
So basically, just want to come up and, speak a little bit about where we are. It's a lot more work than I thought, to be honest with you, putting this together and working with various departments, purchasing, city clerk's office, the solicitor's office. There's a lot of work involved in it, you know? So it's been a slow process. I've been on about 6-7 weeks now. I think we're making great progress. Everybody's been so helpful. We changed the ordinances. I spoke with Councilor McKenna, and right now it's in process. And I believe we have a public hearing on July 26th. And then after that, it has to go to a legislative hearing on August 23rd. But speaking with the solicitor last week, I was a little concerned, can we start the program? Because the mayor wanted to start it on July 1st. And the solicitor said we can still use the old ordinance and, work off of it. So that's what we're doing. So let me tell you where we stand right now. Basically, we're putting a letter together, and we identified 110 properties presently through Airbnb. We can't say they're doing anything wrong because we don't have any, they probably don't even know we have an ordinance in place. So we're going to be sending a letter out to that 110 people, notifying them that there is an ordinance in place and they have to register their property if they want to continue to use their property as a short-term rental. There's a lot of stipulations in the ordinance, as you've probably read it, that they have to come up with, including a state license, and present that in order to get a permit. Also, we're going to be, how do you get it out to the public? We're going to be drawing something out, putting it in the journal, and if Rich would kindly let us put it in one of the tax bills, we'd really appreciate it. Some sort of a notice. This way it would go to every owner, whether he lived in Revere or he didn't, but he has to live in Revere in order to, rent the property. So, we're going to start, we're waiting for the software right now. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks we'll have the software in, which a lot of the permitting will be done online. Then we're starting interviews tomorrow. We have a couple of people in for interviews. We're going to be a full-time clerk, also doing inspections. I'm working 2 days a week on this Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I'll be overseeing the department. Right now, we're working out of the benefits office until we have a permanent office where that will be. We're still trying to figure that out. But once we get that all set up, I'm pretty well set up down in the benefits office right now, but we don't want people coming in and out of there because they're busy enough down there. So I think we're in a good place, putting procedures together, and I just want to make sure everything is right, so we do it right, so we're not going out there and playing a guessing game. So I can give you more information probably in a couple of weeks. Councilor McKenna said she wanted me to speak in front of the subcommittee and ask me a bunch of questions, and I'd be glad to answer them. And I think I'll have better answers in a couple of weeks of where we are with everything.
Great.
So if you have any questions.
Any questions? Start off with Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have one question for you, Nick. I know you have been involved in it, and that's it's either 19 or 21 Pines Road.
Yes.
Where there was some serious problems down there. And has that been abated?
Basically, we sent them I had ISD referred, ISD, they sent them a fine, outside sanitation fine.
Yeah.
I sent them a $300 fine for having parties, and the ordinance basically has been in place for 2 years. And so we could use the ordinance, even the old ordinance, and it says on there you can't have parties and loud, and he broke it. And the hardest part of the whole thing is, Chief Callahan can tell you, is the evidence part of it. You go down there, and the chief sent police cars down there, they were having parties, and, the neighbors called us. So, I mean, getting the evidence for us to find them, that is the key part of it. We can use a police report, we can use neighbors taking pictures, but that's going to be the hardest. But if somebody just says, oh, I think that they have a, Airbnb there. At that point, the only thing we can do, unless we have evidence, is basically send them a letter saying we have reason to believe that you're running So we're working that out through the solicitor's office, that type of a letter, and that type of, like I said, letter to send to them and put them on notice. So that's where we are.
Well, I've been down there, I've witnessed certain activities, and
That's
I would be
correct.
more than happy to testify
Yeah.
in Chelsea District Court if necessary.
That's right.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Council President Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nick, you served this community for many years and did a great job.
Thank you.
I can't believe that they dragged you back in.
Every try they're trying to pull you out, they pull you back in. I don't know where did that come from?
Let me preface that by saying that I'm actually happy they dragged you back in. I can't think of anybody better to lead this new effort, and it's a tough effort. And
Yeah.
you mentioned that it's tough getting started. It's not going to get easier.
No, it's good. The first year is going to be a, trial and error type of thing. It's going to be tough. It is. There's no doubt about it. I mean, we just got to get it established. And once I get it established, then I will, and get the right people in there. We'll do the right thing.
Right.
And just like, the parking clerk and,
Yeah.
the ISD, you got to speak to people in the right way and you
Right.
get things done.
And nobody's better at that than you. And you've got a proven track record of many years here. And
Thanks.
so I'm looking forward to working with you in this new venture.
Yes.
It is a problem, obviously, and they need someone with the kind of level head that you have and
Thank
a
you.
proven track record of dealing with people. So welcome back, I should say.
Thank you. Thank you, Council.
Well, as you said, I agree. I think the hardest part is trying to police that.
Yeah.
And how you go about finding them and so forth and so on. So, you have your work cut out for you.
Well, I
wish you the
spoke to
best.
other towns, and, I did my research, calling around with other ordinances within the municipalities, Chelsea and, Everett, and various cities that have this in place. And it's a difficult task.
Yeah.
You got to work with, police, you got to work with the fire department. We have to have them involved in the inspections. I'm going to, speak to the chief about it within the next couple of weeks and see how we can get a program so we can work coordinated together. Because if I accept it and they go out and don't accept it, then it doesn't work,
Sure.
So we got to work together as a team. And the chief's been great every time I've ever worked with him also. And also, the police chief has been great. So, I have a good rapport, knowing everybody and knowing most of the councilors. I've worked with Councilor McKenna numerous times, and it's been a pleasure.
Great.
When I was working here.
Well, thank you. Welcome back again,
Yes.
as they said. And
Great.
the numbers here are pretty short. How's that?
I don't have any accomplishments.
I hate letting a department go where I don't ask any questions, but
You can certainly ask.
there's really not that much to ask here.
You can ask how many pencils I'm going to buy.
Yeah, no, I'm not that concerned. But thank you, and
All right.
I
All right.
appreciate you.
Thanks, Your Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Moving right along, if we can do the police department. And for edifications, that is pages 35 to 38. Chief, welcome.
Sir, welcome. First and foremost, I just want to thank the council and this honorable body here, the Ways and Means, for all your support. And, the last year has been more than challenging. I had no idea what I was getting into just with, the pandemic, and there was many, many things that we've never experienced before. So on the police and my brother, Chief Bright, the fire department, we were put basically at ground zero in this community, and we were faced with some very serious things. And I know from, different conversations with the chief during COVID, both of our departments suffered significant losses with employees, either on quarantines or, unfortunately, people did get affected with COVID. So it was definitely a challenging year, and it's good to see the light at the end of the tunnel. and hopefully we can continue to move forward and push through this pandemic. But I'll just start off with some accomplishments, and fortunately we were able to get some things done, but it was definitely, more than a challenge. Right now in 2021, we were able to complete about 65% review and updated of all the police department policies and procedures, and we're moving towards certification and accreditation with the state. And the certification program currently consists of 159 standards, all of which are mandatory. And of the 159 standards for certification, they're a part of a total 257 mandatory standards for accreditation. And the certification is a significant milestone towards achieving that accreditation. So it's a big deal for the police department to do this, and it's a long time coming. And we've been working on it diligently, especially Captain Mangino has been deep in this and trying to keep up with it, and it's been difficult. We've also conducted some training. We were fortunate to be able to do that. We did an intensive 4-day training for all the supervisors in the department, and the training focused on effective leadership, supervision, and accountability. We're fortunate enough to acquire 6 message boards through various grants to communicate and inform residents of current situations in the community. And these are dual-purpose boards that can be utilized to monitor the flow of traffic and vehicle speeds and stuff like that. So we've been utilizing them now for messaging, for the COVID sites and different messages that were urgent to get out to the community. But as that's starting to dwindle down, we're going to be able to use them for other things. So hopefully we can capitalize on that. The department added 5 new surveillance cameras to aid in crime prevention, as well as assist in different investigations in the city. And we were able to do a new upgrade to 2 forensic computer labs that we have. Because face it, everything now is technology. It's all cameras and data, and it's great for solving crimes and crime prevention. So we're able to do that. And, due to the COVID issue, we were slow in getting some of that equipment, but it's just about all in now, and we're getting the room set up. So it's just going to give us a lot of different capabilities to view and analyze the data and what, we got on the camera. So it's very important. We also upgraded some other radio stuff. We didn't realize we had a lot of issues with some of the radios. So they were older technology, so we had to replace over 40 different portable radios. And that was a little bit challenging to come up with the funds, but we were able to come up with the funds, different grants and other vehicles to get some funding. So we upgraded the radios. Some other things we got involved with, which is very important, especially this day and age for law enforcement, police officers, and the pressures and all the different things that are affecting us. We're able to join the Regional Critical Incident Stress Management Team, which is called CISM. It's a regional support team designed to assist participating communities, responding to major critical events, and provide support to officers that have been affected by some of these critical incidents, like, sudden deaths of children, other critical things, unfortunate things that we have to respond to and deal with, and, the after effects. So basically, you'll have officers from other communities that have no connection to the police here in Revere, and they'll basically come and debrief the officers involved in those incidents, and then make a determination if there's other services that are needed, and they'll help facilitate that for us. So it's a big deal, and it's confidential, so, if somebody's really bothered by a particular incident, they can get some treatment without the stigmatism of someone looking at them and having perceptions, about them. So it's very important, and especially this day and age, like I said, the officers really need that. Now we're getting into a lot of community engagement. Just in this climate we're in, we've been very fortunate in the police department in Revere. I've been involved with a lot of the programs with the youth in the city for many, many years, and we've continued with that. And even with like the Shannon grant money that assists us with different investigations and maybe different enforcement, we've kind of tailored that a little more to do more community engagement and police athletic league stuff and things like that, and that's been pretty successful. We started doing something this year that was a little unique. There's been talk about it and stuff, but this is the first time I can remember we've done it in Revere. We had a goal of doing 25 different like flower boxes and garden boxes throughout the community at different residents. And it's been a great success. I went out the other day and we brought 4 different flower boxes or garden boxes to different houses. And along with an effort with the DPW, officers and youth put together those flower boxes. They build them from scratch. DPW delivers the loom and the supplies to the different houses, and we go there and put it together. The residents love it. It's been a home run. And then, you know, we just had the Police Athletic League. They had like the summer tip-off at Harry Delarusso Stadium. Went great for 2 days. Great program. And now we just implemented another thing with like Thursday night hoops at the basketball courts right adjacent to the police and fire station. So Thursday nights, and sometimes it's a little later, so they give the young people somewhere else to go instead of going outside on the street, get them out and play basketball. And it's worked out great. So it's just been, and we also linked up with the recreation center, and we're doing like a women's leadership program that I think is great. Give some of the girls some positive things in the community, and it's going to be all run by female officers in the rec center, and they're going to get them engaged in a leadership program and do different things with them. And they also are going to do a CSI, you know, crime scene investigations course, and do mock crime scenes and things like that for the younger people. So I think that'll be a great engagement tool for the younger people. Just stuff they can see it on TV, but then they're going to see reality. And the TV, you don't solve things in 60 minutes. Now I'll go into some goals and objectives. You know, due to the new police reform, goals and objectives for 2022, we've been pretty good with our policies and procedures, but, you know, especially if some other unfortunate incidents throughout the country, we're dealing with use of force. We've tailored our use of force program with the state, and we've done some changes. Like I said, we've covered a lot of these things that are going on now, but now it's actually mandated with the state. We're going to follow their guideline, which we were there, but we just tweaked it a little bit, and we're able to craft the document a little better. But it's going to have some other things that we never had before, some like mandated reporting. So when there's a use of force incident that happens, we'll be able to document that, and then we're going to have a way to track it on the computer, so we have a different system now. The officer will document the use of force along with the supervisor. So there's a record. We can keep records of what goes on and what happened and what the circumstances were and things like that, and it's going to make it very easy to be transparent, and we'll be able to access that information right away, instead of, it's kind of arduous the way it's kept. It's in individual police reports. Now we're just going to have a system that's going to put us right up to date. And I'll go with one more goal, and we're going to increase the officer training and the CIT, crisis intervention. And it's just basically for officers to increase their ability to de-escalate situations and to understand mental health issues. And that's what a lot of the things we're dealing with right now is all mental health based. And like I said earlier, unfortunately with COVID, we've seen an increase in mental health issues. We've seen a dramatic increase in domestic violence issues. Sometimes the domestic violence calls are going up 50%. So we face some challenging things, and we navigated the waters in different directions because of COVID. And we still don't have all the answers yet, because it'll take a couple years to be able to get the accurate data and be able to analyze it. And I would say that's it. I mean, I could go through all of them, but I don't want to, in the sake of time.
I understand. Thank you, Chief. I appreciate the information. Let's start off on this side. How's that? Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dave, I've known you forever. You know how I feel about you. I think you're wonderful. I just have one question for you.
Yes.
Did you ever think about, do you ever consider body cams? You talk about, cameras and getting new cameras around and surveillance cameras. what about body cams? What's your feeling on that?
Yes, we're looking into that right now. We've
Okay.
explored it. It's going to be mandatory
Okay,
through the state law, through the police reform. We're just we're looking into different avenues, and it's relatively new, and the technology is changing so fast. We're definitely researching it. Like I said, it's going to be mandatory by the state law in the next couple of years. So we're hoping to follow that track, and that's definitely coming. And I would say it's probably going to be body cameras and also cameras that are going to be inside the police vehicles. So they almost link together and they work hand in hand. So you'll have a view from the police vehicle, and you'll also have a view from the officer and his body camera, or her body camera.
thank you. And just one more, this is a kudos. I just think it's a great idea to bring families garden boxes. Just, it's so great that you can go in there and they appreciate it and you get to know the family. So I think that's a wonderful idea. I don't know who came up with it, but it's a wonderful idea to get to know the community. Thank you.
It's an excellent program, and you see the look on people's faces when we come. They bring the flower box in, and it's pretty significant, but it's already put together. We take them in a pickup truck, and then it shows the young people teamwork.
It does.
You know, filling the wheelbarrows with loom, spreading the loom, setting everything up, and the people have been elated. It's very successful.
I just want you to know that I didn't get one, so.
Okay, well, we'll have to get you
Only
on that
kid.
list.
Counselor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, just one thing, and I've put in some motions and way back before you were chief for the speed machines, the identifying speeds on particularly, which I think is the most dangerous street in the city of Revere, and that's Route 1A. Cars are just flying, they're 60, 70, some 80 miles an hour. We've had, as you well know, several fatalities down there over the past decade or so. We've had accidents down there, and people say, well, they don't stop you from speeding. Well, I think that's not true. I think they make people aware of the speed they're going. And not everybody, but most of the people, if they see that they're going 60, 70 miles an hour in a 40-mile zone or a 50-mile zone, they'll slow down. And 180 North Shore Road, eastbound side, the northbound side and the westbound, southbound side, I'd like to see a couple of machines on each, and they're not expensive. I believe they're about $6,000 a piece, if that. There's different variations. So if that's something we could work on, I'd certainly appreciate it. I sent a message to the mayor via a motion even as recently as 5 or 6 weeks ago. And whatever you can do on that, I'd appreciate it. And
Absolutely, Counselor.
in closing, I want to say one thing with regard to your service. I was walking out of my house about a week ago, and who do I see coming into the neighborhood, looking around, was the chief of police. And I want you to know that didn't go unnoticed, and I certainly appreciate you. That's the first time I've ever saw a police chief coming into a neighborhood and checking it out, and I appreciate that. I want to thank you publicly this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Counsel Powers.
You're welcome.
Counsel Sereno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I just want to give accolades to the chief and to the department. You know, obviously the last year has been a very difficult year for everyone, especially in your profession. So I just want to thank you for, being the utmost professional and always handling everything with the utmost care and dignity and grace. So thank you, Chief.
Council President Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, I want to commend you. You took over a department at a time that most people are running away from policing. It's difficult to be a cop today. It used to be one of the most noble professions, and we hope to see that again. Some of us have never wavered in our support for the police, but it takes a lot of guts to want to be in your position today. I dare say I don't know that I'd be doing that. So some of us truly appreciate it. I know you got a lot on your plate, and you've handled it well, always in a professional manner, and I wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. If I may, Chief, just have some questions to clarify. It looks like you have budgeted 109 FTEs in terms of officers. You have currently, right now, how many?
Right now, we have about 104.
Okay.
Because we have 2 in the police academy right now. So we probably won't be able to use them fully for almost a year. Because they just started the academy 2 weeks ago. They're going to be in the academy about 6 months. And then with their field training and stuff, it's almost a year.
And what's the comfort level what's the number that makes you feel comfortable in terms of officers?
I would say as many as we can have. I mean,
Obviously.
the population, but I would say if we can get up to 110 in the next year or two, and then move forward from that. But we're running into some challenges because right now, I have over 10% of the police department out for various reasons. We have some people, long-term medical stuff, they may never be back again. We have some other issues going on, people that get sick, long-term issues. We had someone else involved in a cruiser accident, got a serious concussion. She's going to be out for a while. So those are the challenges that we have. We're trying to field a team all the time, and it's difficult. But right now, we have like 13 people out, and I would probably anticipate half probably won't be back.
So that actually means filling another, basically, 10 officers almost?
Just to be clear, I think when the chief's speaking of officers, I think he's talking about current on the force. We did budget for 107 uniformed officers, including the chief, in fiscal year '21, and we are proposing 2 new additional uniformed officers for fiscal year '22. However, like the chief said, some of those officers may have retired or otherwise be out with injury, but from a year-to-year basis, budget-wise, we're proposing 2 new uniformed officers for '22.
Okay. And it looks as though in the civilian section of the budget, there are 2 new additional jobs, positions, correct me if I'm wrong, one being paid through other sources and the other being budgeted. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. In talking with the chief through budget deliberations, he had stressed strongly that we consider funding a crime analyst for some of the increased volume, especially with the COVID, just to get a better handle on the crime statistics and analysis of those. He can definitely speak more to that particular position. The other position that is budgeted in the police that you'll see is fully deferred through what we're proposing as ARPA funds is ITMIS technician. Currently, they use contract service as well as a uniformed police officer, who I believe is set to retire this fiscal year. And we're trying to create a more elaborate IT department. While this job is budgeted in the police department for all practical purposes of doing IT work within that department because of the sensitive nature of a lot of the data, there will be a dotted line to our IT director over here at City Hall to help with the overall administration and consolidation of those types of IT services and telephones and otherwise copies of stuff that kind of come part of IT. So I'll let the chief speak a little more to that, but just to clarify, of the 2 FTEs that we're proposing as civilian positions, we are proposing that one be funded through the budget appropriation and the other one will be funded through our ARPA funds.
Okay. Looking at the non-salary payroll items, I'm glad to see an increase in training, actually, and I think we all can agree that policing has changed over the years, and training is crucial in terms of having a successful department. So, you know, it's pretty difficult to get officers these days, from what I'm gathering, and very difficult to have people coming into that field, and rightfully so. It's so when you hear about those initiatives and those programs that you're starting, it's good to see those programs and interacting with the community, okay? Because we need to change the image of policing. We want to work together with the residents and not have us have police on the other side, as they say. So it's good to see that interaction with the residents. I love the fact that you're including the young generation and the youth into some of those other programs, getting them involved and starting them young. I think it's great. So I'm fully on board on that, and the only additional added here is the consultant services that have been increased. I think you touched about that, is for the mental health and support mechanism for our police officers. So that too is important. I can't stress that enough. So I agree that that's needed. You know, these officers, as well as our firefighters, go out there every day not knowing if they're going to return. So they put their lives on the line. So I commend you for everything you've done, and I wish you the best. I know Revere is in good hands at your leadership, and I want to thank you for all the work you've done.
Thank you. And I just want to thank, I wouldn't be able to do it without the men and women of the Revere Police Department.
Yeah.
We have a great police department here. They work very hard, and they come to work every day, especially during these trying times. So they've made things successful, because we've all kind of done it together and been there through, you know, the good and bad times. And hopefully better times come down the road, which we're at. And the last thing, I just want to thank you folks at the council, and I have to thank the mayor and his chief of staff, Kim Hanton, because they were very in line with the extra training and the extra initiatives for mental health stuff with the police officers. They can see what we're going through lately, and it's very difficult. And we've had some officers have some trouble. So we can't go back to where we were before. It's kind of, you eat your own.
Yeah.
And just move forward. You got to take care of people.
Absolutely.
They need help, and we're going to give it to them.
Great.
All right?
Thank you.
Thank you very
Chief.
much, everyone. Have a good
you.
evening. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Viskey.
Thank you.
The
And
glue that holds it all together.
if we can go to the fire department now next, and that's pages 39 to 43. Welcome, Chief.
Welcome. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ways and Means Committee, for having us. If you'd like me to start off like everyone else, we're
Go right ahead. I'll let you have the floor.
Talking about accomplishments, but as we presented in our folder here, like everyone else, I think you know, the COVID-19 pandemic was has been a big challenge over the past year and a half, in the fire department, as well as everyone else I know is glad to be coming out of the state of emergency now. We responded this last year with enhanced standard operating procedures that assured that none of our citizens were left behind. Our members endured great hardship. We've had dozens who contracted the virus, some hospitalized due to work-related exposures. We partnered with all neighboring agencies to set up the Quality Inn as a isolation ward to quarantine residents so we could help stop the spread, slow the spread of the deadly virus. We bonded $1.5 million to replace our two oldest fire engines, and we should be taking delivery sometime in the spring of 2022. We secured 2 grants with the Department of Fire Services for the purchase, excuse me, of two NFPA-compliant turnout gear washer extractor machines, one for Central Fire Station and one for the Parkway Station. That has been a big issue in the fire service in recent years. Carcinogens. Not only was we found out our gear was off gas and giving us cancer, but also the lack of cleaning our gear properly was also enhancing our risk of contracting cancer. We secured a grant from UASI for the purchase of a custom high water rescue response vehicle that's scheduled to be built and purchased coming up this fiscal year 22. That's going to be a great aid for us when we have storm surges and flooding in our neighborhoods. We'll be better equipped to help evacuate residents that need to be evacuated during an emergency. Lastly, we had to basically adapt all our fire and EMS training online to allow our members to continue with their critical skills in maintaining social distance guidelines during the COVID pandemic. Moving on to our fiscal year 22 goals and objectives. We listed several grants that we've applied for. The first one, we applied for an AFG staffing grant to hire an additional 14 firefighters, and that's in preparation of reopening Engine 2 in the Point of Pines, which, according to the work schedule, will be built by September 28th, 2022, so a year from September. So in anticipating that, we're trying to get this grant, and it's a great opportunity. If we are successful, it will provide us with 14 firefighters, and it pays for salary and benefits for 3 years. So that would be quite a score if we could be successful there. Our second goal is we filed a grant for purchase of a new pump for the new fire station when it comes online. So hopefully we'll get a third fire engine through the grant. And lastly, we filed a grant to replace our SCBA air compressor, which is non-FPA compliant. It's housed on the Parkway Station. It's over 30 years old, and we're in dire need of getting an FPA compliant machine. So we know when we put on our air packs that we're breathing clean air, and we don't really have that right now. So those are some of our goals, accomplishments. It's been a difficult year, but notwithstanding that, I'm very proud of the department and the membership. Firefighters really did step up, morale's high, and I think over the past several years, we put on a rather large group of firefighters and hope to continue that to get our personnel back up to where we need to be going forward in the city. We've been very busy. I know everyone's been paying attention. This year, really, our workload didn't slow down. I mean, with the increase of the COVID stuff and even our fire activity really has been the highest it's been in a long, long time. And we've had 4 serious fires since December. And but I'm here to answer any questions on the budget. As everyone knows, about 95% of our budget is personnel items, and roughly 5% or less is non-personnel items. And I'm here to try to answer any questions I can.
Council McKenna?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to say that I truly appreciate and saw how wonderful and hardworking your firefighters were at the Endicott Ave fire. It was just truly amazing to see a bunch of guys just get together and put out a massive fire. I mean, I know you had a lot of help with that, but with your direction, I mean, I was there, standing there, I saw the whole thing. It was just wonderful, and how your firefighters came up to me and were communicating with me during that whole fire. It was amazing. So I just want to thank you, and kudos to your fire department.
Very kind of you, Councilman McKenna. We appreciate it, and we know you're always there for your ward, because we see you there.
Council Powers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know for a fact, after looking through the budget in my time at home, that I don't see one thing in there that is not necessary. These are things that are so important to the public safety, and with the police department, the same thing. I'm seeing two departments function in the best interest of public safety and the citizens. You know, we can, schools are so important in this city, but you can build a dozen more schools, and if you can't provide the public safety for the personnel in those schools and the children that enter them on a daily basis, then it doesn't make sense. But I know the chief and yourself are out there every day. I've heard some good news that we're going to be starting the demo down on the Pines Fire Station probably within 3-4 weeks maybe, and I just look forward to that with a great deal of passion, because I know it's so important down there to those people. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Councilor
Mr. Chairman.
Powers, and I know you've been a proponent of that for your whole career up here at the council, and we appreciate your support. Thank you.
Council Sereno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the chief. Chief, again, I just want to give you kudos and to all the members of your department. Kind of like Councilor McKenna, unfortunately, I had the opportunity to see your guys in action on Kingman Ave a few weeks ago, and it was the first fire as a ward councilor that I was kind of there on the ground and seeing just exactly what fighting a fire really entails. So I mean, I know you guys do way more than fight fires every day. You guys are on the streets, doing stuff for people in our community, and I just want to say thank you, and a special kudos to Deputy Cheever. He's always incredible in answering as a ward councilor whenever I have an issue, especially like with buildings and stuff, and he's always my go-to person, and he's tremendous. So you have a great team in your department, and I just want to commend you.
Thank you, Council. We appreciate the kind words. I know Deputy Cheever will. He's got a very tough position, being the Director of Fire Prevention. The city is, been on a building rampage for a few years now since he took over that position, and we're lucky to have him, and with his professional background for that position, and he does a great job. And again, we appreciate your support since you've come on board the council. Thank you.
Council President Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Chief. You've always been complete professional at your position. Maybe a little less difficult in some ways than the police today. However, the firefighters have not lost the respect of a lot of the citizens, and unfortunately, because of events in the news, the police are painted with a broad brush, and I hope that never happens to the fire service, because both departments put their lives on the line every day, and we know that, and we appreciate it. And you've always been a complete professional, and I appreciate that. And my colleague mentioned Deputy Cheever, who also is under fire and takes a lot of heat because of the position. And when you're in that position, it's a tough position to be in. You've got to say no to a lot of people and say some things that they don't want to hear. And people, just like being a politician, people don't want to hear the truth. They want you to tell them what they want to hear. I haven't done that. I've been up here a lot of years, and I never tell people what they want to hear. I tell them the truth. And you've always been straight, completely straight with me, and I appreciate that. And I thank you for your service. And the only other thing I'll ask you is, do we have a solid date on when we're tearing the station down at the Pines?
I don't have a solid date, but I can tell you that the demo went out to bid. The lowest bidder had to withdraw due to a mathematical error, so we bumped up to the next lowest bidder, and that's in the process of being worked out. I've given up on giving an exact date when that building's coming down, but I would say it will be down this summer.
That gives us, we're getting close.
Thank you.
Great.
I appreciate your kind words, and echo your sentiments with my brothers and sisters on the police department, and Chief Callen, who I've known since he was, a young boy, basically.
Me too, I've
And the
known
type
him
of
since
guy
he was
he
young.
is. And I know they have great leadership, and I know they're going to be fine. They'll be fine.
I know they will. And they'll have our support always up here, as you will. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief. If I just may, just a couple of things. It looks like you're slated for 2 additional firefighters in this year's budget. Is that pretty accurate?
Yes.
Yes, right? In talking about the fire equipment, it looks like that line item was reduced, but is that because of it being appropriated in the capital improvement fund? If I'm-
Exactly, yeah, some of those capital items that we use 5 years of useful life and $25,000 threshold on capital projects, and since we have some alternative funding sources for those capital, we budgeted those through the CIP, and then we're able to reduce the operating budget.
It's, I have no other questions regarding the numbers. It seems pretty straightforward. I'm glad to see that we're going out for that grant. People don't realize what's involved. We want a fire station, okay, but we have to man that fire station. And, looking out to the future and getting those grants are crucial to our budget, obviously. So I commend you for going out there and getting that and trying to get it. Hopefully, we are successful in that. And I'm just going to end on commending you as well as your department for a great job that you guys have been doing. It hasn't been easy. I know that. You guys have been fighting the fight since this pandemic has started. And then add the additional fire that have taken place in the city has just added more stress, and you guys have handled that with the utmost professionalism, and I commend all of you for doing that, and putting your lives on the line each day. So it's all from the leadership, starts from the top is the way I look at it, and I want to commend you for doing that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it, Mr. Pistone.
Thank you. Other than that, we're all set on your budget, and I appreciate you coming.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. Thank you, Mr. Pistone.
I think we have one more section, which is just the, and we're out of here. Let's see. The Regional Emergency Communication Center, which is very quick. Mr. Viskey, if you don't mind.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Rich Viskey, CFO, City of Revere, and also one of the 7 board members of the Metro North Regional Emergency Communication Center, along with my fellow chiefs there, and the chiefs of the Winthrop Fire and Police Department, as well as the town manager or his representative, and Jay Mazzola, the interim director of the MNRECC. Happy to report that the budget for the City of Revere's apportionment of the allocated cost has decreased this year from $1.565 million to $1.513 million. And that is because of several factors. If you don't know, there is a split of the assessment between the City of Revere and the town of Winthrop based upon population and call volume. So for fiscal year 2022, we are 74% of the population. The records of 53,000 rounded for the City of Revere to 18,500 for the town of Winthrop. So that's 74%. We take 50% of that, and then we take 50% of the actual call volume. We had 30,581 calls for the City of Revere and 8,105 calls for the town of Winthrop. So 79% of the call volume was actually from the City of Revere. That total split is 76.6% of the total budget. while that has increased, we're happy to report that our funding from the 911 grants has gone up from $900,000 to $1.2 million, and that's based upon the call volume. So the $300,000 of extra grant revenue coming in for fiscal year 2022, along with some modest cuts that were made by the members of the board, as presented by the executive director, resulted in a small savings for the city for fiscal year 22. And while I'm not well-versed in the total operations of the day-to-day of the regional call center, I can certainly speak to the numbers, and I can also update you to the fact that we have a search committee right now who are vetting through resumes to present us at the board tomorrow with 2 finalists for the appointment for a permanent executive director of the board, and we'll have more to follow, maybe more to report on that as part of Monday's meeting, but we are hopefully going to put that to bed and have a director permanently in place probably within the next month or 2, I would say. So thank you for your time.
Any councilors have any questions? Council Zambudo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I was one of the people that was fighting for this regional call center for many years, not without a lot of pushback. I'm hoping it's working well. My question is there any hope for a third party joining?
I like to say there's always hope, Counselor. There's always hope, but
keep hope alive.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it's a very active topic at our monthly meetings, and certainly trying to court a third party. Not only would it help reduce costs overall, but there are some substantial grants that can be awarded if we do bring in that third party. And
I know that.
Quite honestly, I think the first step we need to do is get a permanent executive director in there to help us lead that charge. But we're all well aware that there are some significant benefits to adding a third party.
Great. Well, that's all I have. Thank you.
If nobody has any questions, I'm all set. That's a formula-based calculation, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, the formula is like I said, of the 50% population, 50% of call volume. But there is a budget process just like this one over there, where we're presented with a budget, and we did make approximately $100,000 worth of cuts, which helped further reduce the appropriation both for Winthrop and Revere.
great. Thank you for the presentation. I'm all set with that.
All right. Thank you very much.
And this will adjourn the Ways and Means Subcommittee meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?